The time has come for lions to tell I own story. Yes, you're listening to Lion's Voice. I is Rasabach hailing from the island of St. Croix. Yeah, I'm bringing to you Rastafari vibes. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Babylon born when Rasta come together. Can you feel it? Rastafari, because Babylon done when I and I come together. Look how we live together, look how we work together, Oh, Babylon done when Rasta come together. Hail I, Rastafari, His Majesty and EmpressMenen bless. Yeah man, hailing from St. Croix, Rastafari, I hear you. Love,
Aye.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice. Rastafari.
Number 3 is the Nationalization Project. So, just, the thing that inspired I to do this presentation was seeing the clip of him presenting the gold bars. And, they have nationalized some of the gold mines. And now they are refining the gold and they'll be storing their own gold. And we know right now, anybody who's following the global markets know the cost of gold is through the roof, per ounce of gold. So this is hard cash that Burkina Faso has access to now, that they can start really build some wealth, you know what I mean? And they can pay down on their debt. They can do all of these things that France, who was controlling all of these multinational companies in your country, controlling these resources. So you getting a royalty, a little pittance off of this while they are becoming multi-billionaires and they get these royalties. All they have to do is pay the leaders, to enrich their pocket while they siphon off billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. Ibrahim Traore said, no, can't happen in my place.
Well, from to us a son was born and a child was given.
I want to ask you a question. Have you gotten your book? Haile Selassie's Ethiopia Volume 1, The Rise of the Priest Warrior King. I've read the book in its entirety and I must say it's very inspirational, very informative, and very historical, right?
Them call him Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Tafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Tafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Tafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England.
Alright, so housekeeping out of the way, let us go into the topic, which is Ibrahim Traore, and I want to do 5 things that he has done during his tenure as leadership that puts him in the category and makes him worthy to examine as an example of leadership. Number 1 thing that he did as a military leader is restore peace and security. That's number 1. You cannot have development without peace and security. These Sahel countries have been tormented by Islamic terrorists, and again, we started off by identifying that these terrorists on the continent, whether it be Boko Haram, whether it be this, whether it be that, who is funding them? Follow the money. They don't just the bush and Africans can buy rice and flour, but them have brand new gun, drone and this and that. follow the money, family. So one of the first things he did was restore peace and security. How did he do that? Number one, he kicked out France. Once he kicked out France, guess what happened? They find out, say, they were able to repel the terrorists. Wow, how did that happen? Um, France was supposed to be there maintaining peace and security, but they had a policy that they would counterattack after a month after sometime the terrorist strike. So it never, and they had surveillance, they couldn't find the terrorists. As soon as they kicked out the French, they did a deal with the Russians. So again, they kicked out the G7 bloc, did a deal with the Russians. All of a sudden now, the Burkina Faso military. And before, when they had the French there, the Burkina Faso army didn't have enough weapons. They had to borrow weapons from their neighboring countries, to go on operation. And then after the operation, they have to give back the gun. I found all of this doing research on the internet from a speech that Ibrahim Traore gave. And now they did a deal, military assistance with Russia. They have arms, they have equipment. They were able to go on the offensive and run out the terrorists. So they were able to establish peace and security, win the hearts of the Burkina Faso people. And I think it's over 20 assassination attempts now that the Brethren has beat, because they have been able to establish that patriotism within the Burkina Faso people. And the people see the vision. So everyone who will get buy off, they only get so far. And what is helping this brethren is that as a military man, the people around him are his military brethren who went to war with him. So he trusts them. He always has on his military gear. You can tell, say, bulletproof vest, all of them things there in place. Him carry him sidearm. If he have a bust shot, even when he's meeting world leaders. The man move militant, I tell you, them is a serious youth. 35 years old, the youngest president on the continent. And again, we big up Ghana president, who said he's looking to improve relations with Ibrahim Traore and the rest of the leaders of the Sahel region. And we'll do deep dives into each of the countries, because each of them have their own charismatic leader at the head who stand with Ibrahim Traore. So this is something that we're going to examine, because this is going to be one of the inflection points in the Cold War portion of World War III. And when we say Cold War, we're talking proxy war, So Ukraine at first was really a Cold War until the Americans started firing the missile, and then it became a hot war. I was calling World War III from the Cold War, because Cold War, people still are dead. Congo, all of these things is also Sudan, Somalia, all of these things are part of the Cold War that's taking place. So we'll get into those things, but in terms of Ibrahim Traore, number one thing he did was restore peace and security. Okay. Number two is massive investments in agricultural projects. We always say no culture without agriculture. This is how you know a man's serious. He is seeking food sovereignty in the country. The latest I just saw, I think this strong, was the delivery of state-of-the-art rice sorting equipment that he's supplying to ensure that the rice produced, you're able to get out the rocks and the impurities in the rice, so it's competitive with rice on the global market. So these are, things, some of the things, but everything from soil enrichment, forestry. The brethren embark on a massive agricultural campaign to make Burkina Faso food sovereign. Also, we cannot do this episode, and it would be remiss if I did not mention the great Thomas Sankara, who, as a leader, inspired this young man. Even the look, how the man moved, everything. Thomas Sankara famously, didn't take a high salary, live on modest means. Ibrahim Traore doing the same thing. He's still taking his military salary and reduce the salary of all the government officials. Brethren is moving in the light of Thomas Sankara. As a global Rastafari movement, we need to send him the autobiography and the selected speeches and, a little care package. We should do that. I don't know who have the link. We have to talk to the Rastafari Continental, Congress on the continent, our umbrella organ on the continent. But that should be sent to this young brethren, And I'm gonna interview. We're gonna have a lot more African content, a lot of more African commentators in this Roman New Year after the January 1st. So stay tuned. It's gonna be very powerful. Number 3 is the Nationalization Project. So the thing that inspired I to do this presentation was seeing the clip of him presenting the gold bars, and they have nationalized some of the gold mines, and now they are refining the gold and they'll be storing their own gold. And we know right now, anybody who's following the global markets know the cost of gold is through the roof, per ounce of gold. So this is hard cash that Burkina Faso has access to now, that they can start really build some wealth, and they can pay down on their debt. They can do all of these things that France, who was controlling all of these multinational companies in your country, controlling these resources. So you getting a royalty, a little pittance off of this, while they are becoming multi-billionaires and they get these royalties. All they have to do is pay the leaders, to enrich their pocket, while they siphon off billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. Ibrahim Traore said, no, can't happen in my place, and take over some of the mines, bought them from the companies that, he made sure them get a little bit of money. But he take the resources, and now they're refining their gold. And this clip was a presentation. So powerful, the nationalization, taking over the resources so that you build an economic base. This is something that I'm preaching also in Rastafari with our creative industry, with the Association of Rastafari Creatives, other things, that we nationalize our resources, our IP, the ITAL, the IRI, the Livity. All of these sounds come out of I&I, but we don't control them, we're not benefiting off of them. They're generating billions of dollars a year, and none of that is going into any centralized entities dealing with Rastafari. So this is why Rastafari independent non-aligned media is so important, because we have to control our sound. We can't depend on a third party to give you an interview, to get out the sound, to get to a larger audience. We build our own audience, we put out our own sound. This is the Livity. You understand? All right. 4, the major infrastructure projects, roads construction. He's embarked on a massive road construction, widening the roads, paving the roads, crucial for moving goods and people and services. The airport, massive construction project, brand new hospital project that they're embarked in, that should be done shortly, and also a dam, and these are financed by some of them by the African Development Bank, some by ECOWAS, some by different partnerships, but we know that the BRICS nation, even some of the Arab states are funding like the dam project, but the BRICS nations are going to be coming in there with funds to support the infrastructure. So these are major. Number 5 renewable energy projects. The Brethren is building solar energy hubs in the rural areas to power the villages. Revolutionary. And also, the Brethren is building massive solar energy plants. We have a mini solar energy plant out at KWASI solar car park. But this is part of the building of Zion. These are going to be popping up all over the continent. We have so much sunlight, and as solar power gets more developed, because right now the panels only can get a certain percentage, but that conversion rate grows every year. They become more efficient. This is going to become a real viable solution. Right now, China is the leader in the world in solar panel construction, but we can get into making the panels. I think there's a company in Kenya that does it now. But these are areas that are going to grow, and the Brethren is investing. So these are 5 areas that the Brethren is dealing with. There is a Russian presence now on the ground that is supplementing his personal security, also surveillance, intelligence gathering. You know, they have the drones, the satellites, all of that. So they are, for those who are not aware, part now of this global war. The coup attempts continue. There was a major assassination attempt that was foiled. Former head of the military, head of, government officials were implicated. There was a massive plot that was uncovered, and it was backed by the French and again that G7 bloc. And these attempts most likely will continue. The Brethren's life is in constant danger. So for all of those who don't feel like World War III is happening, know that there is this Cold War which implicates Mama Africa. Now, Africa's Armageddon has passed, meaning Africa will not be part of the hot war that will invariably unfold, likely in the European and the Middle Eastern theaters. You know what I mean? They've cut the Middle East, or which once was Northeast Africa, Palestine, all of that. Once was Northeast Africa, they're now calling it West Asia, for distance it from the continent. That is going to likely be theater between there and Iran, Syria, Lebanon, all of those, Turkey, all of those countries. Most likely that's going to be the theater for the hot war that most likely is going to unfold. The European theater over there in Ukraine. Africa will not be within that, but the Cold War theaters, all of these conflicts, Sudan, Somalia, Chad, Libya, Niger, Mali, Nigeria, Cameroon, all of these places where you see the instability fomenting. These are all parts of the Cold War as these global blocs vie for resources. My prediction here that I've made on the Lion Voice is that as the hot war escalates on the other theaters, those main theaters, that the resources that are supplying these armies and terrorist groups down on the continent, that those supply lines are going to dry up or get deprioritized, which gives us the opportunity, just as in Burkina Faso, to stabilize and get rid of some of these elements so that the people can get forward to development. And what we, as Rastafari, what we're responsible for is to sound the trumpet of African unity. That I think Rastafari is the only power that can really defeat tribalism, which is the last scores, because it's I and I are standing in the problem. You know what I mean? The foreign powers are not sending their armies on our shores anymore. They're paying, people who are our enemies, take money to kill their brothers and sisters. And this is the model that has been used to stop the progress. And this is why even in Rastafari, we are saying unity is the accepted goal. We can agree to disagree. We are pushing radical unity right now because we have a greater enemies to face, and we cannot afford to be fighting amongst one another in this time. Rastafari, we are great, and I hope that again this brethren is inspiring young men 35 leading a nation onto a new horizon. Each of us have the Most High within us. This is the revelation His Majesty come to give the world through the teachings of Yeshua. The Almighty live within inside of I and I. The kingdom of the Almighty is for I and I to manifest on this earth. It's for I and I to build. It's for I and I to inhabit and preserve. So, family, what did the IDM think about this brethren? Does he fit the criteria of leadership that His Majesty speak of in his university speech, the speech to the University College of Addis Ababa? Is this brethren the real deal? Sound off in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from.
Yeah, well, Haile Selassie the first of the Almighty, and this is the DEJAZMATCH Kwasi. Yeah, well, this is the big bad sound trooper with wicked trooper. Yeah, we slew them all and done. Well, give thanks for Jah, the Emperor. Give thanks for the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Give thanks for Jah, the Emperor. Him never woulda let sound trooper suffer. He's the omnipotent He everything him see, and yet he choose to fill him people with him mercy. Light of the world, might of the Trinity, and yet he choose to fight to set the Africans free. He educate the youth, he make the youth them study. He turned his palace to a university. He tell humanity we are one family. I love Haile Selassie cause him slew me enemy. Me say fi give thanks to Jah. Well, sound trooper say fi give thanks to Jah. Well, sound trooper say fi give thanks to Jah. The Emperor, give thanks for the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Give thanks to Jah, the Emperor. Him never woulda let sound trooper suffer. Him a the omnipotent, well excellent. Me examine the work, me see him full up a talent. Him a the magnificent, well eloquent. Him pon the battlefield, look how him slew this serpent. Him fight down in a the trench, fire can't quench. Him pon the battlefield, him a the people's servant. Him a me shield and defense when things get tense. Me love Haile Selassie higher than them president. Me say fi give thanks to Jah. Well, then give thanks to Jah.